Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Get It, Got It Good. Here with your host, I'm Naja Wilhite, and I am so excited to be with you today. Today, we do have a guest, Tony Roberts, in the house who is extraordinary. He has an extraordinary story to tell you guys. He is an author, a mentor, an entrepreneur, and so much more. You will learn so much from him. So definitely stay tuned. But as you notice, I'm here for a reason by myself first. And that is because today is a really special day for me. Today is my anniversary. So I wanted to take the time out to address my husband. And I wanted to say, I love you, babe. This has been an incredible journey, an incredible ride. I couldn't do it without you. You give me so much strength to be able to pursue my dreams and my passions, and you give me the support I need for myself and our family, which is huge, by the way. So I made something for you, which is why I didn't get any sleep last night. The video that you will see next is a tribute to my husband and our many years together, since we've known each other since I was 15. So I won't tell you guys how long that is because I don't want you calculating my age. But if you're a fan of the show, you will definitely know how old I am since I just had a birthday. But definitely, babe, I hope you enjoy this video. Here you go. Watch the video. Welcome back, you guys. Babe, I hope you enjoyed that video. And I'm sorry that I had to throw you and the cowgirls under the bus, but it is what it is. So, as you see, Tony Roberts have joined us. So, we will be talking about, if you guys looked at my Facebook or on IG or Twitter or anything, you have seen this photo before. And the audio that went with it, the 1 minute clip. We'll be discussing that, as well as his other books in Theater That Saves Lives. What is it? Theater Saves Lives, right? So we're going to be talking about those things in his incredible journey from street to going back into the community in a positive way. So, Tony, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, how did you even start with this? Like, what has happened in your life that make you, first of all, question God and His existence? So, tell us a little bit about your journey.
Well, for me, growing up, it was kind of rough as a young kid because I had a mother that was addicted to heroin as well as crack, and my dad was an alcoholic. Both only had an eighth grade education, so basically, my brothers and I was learning to fend for ourselves. And a lot of times we had no electricity in the house. There was no food because moms would take the government check to get high. So we was doing things like going downtown, looking out in trash cans to find food, doing whatever we could. And then finally one day we made the decision to get into the street hustling.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so, what did that look like? A lot of people go, "That's my only escape. I need to eat." And I can understand you need to eat, and then you start making this money, and it feels good to be able to eat. So you don't want to give that up. So why that route? And at the time, I'm sure you didn't think there was any other option.
Right. Yeah, I thought it was no other options. And then it seemed cool because it's like you got to buy any type of clothes you wanted. You got to, get the nice cars, get the girls, and everybody looked up to the drug dealers. That's so it was like real cool to do. And at the time, as it's going on, you're not realizing the lives that you're affecting, by putting that poison into the community. You're not thinking about the families that you're destroying. The only thing matters is I'm getting money.
Hmm. So, and it's funny you say that about your thoughts and what you're thinking about. But how did you go from thinking about yourself only to going back in and creating these initiatives, thinking about others?
Because my mother and father both had parents who were always, down to earth talking to us. But again, they were elderly. And when they passed away, I remember my grandfather always telling me, go in the military, sign up for 20 years. They'll take care of you for the rest of your life. Get a job. But when I went to go in the military after high school, I had asthma. So they gave me a permanent disqualification. So that was another roadblock for me. So it was just like one roadblock after another. And again, it was like, okay, how can we, do something and provide, you know?
And there was the streets again.
And it was back to the streets again.
So just to say to his credibility, to all of the young ones out there who still in the game, I know a few of y'all who are in your early 20s who are still in the game. Don't get it twisted. I know what you're doing. But tell us about what that looks like. Some of the charges that you've caught.
I was charged with first degree murder. I was charged with drug trafficking. I was charged with several assaults on police, more than 10. I was charged with possession of a firearm. I was charged with drug trafficking. I was charged with disorderly conduct, driving on suspended license. I mean, it was just numerous charges, any and everything. And, when you're making money, police job is to get you off the streets by any means necessary. And when I think back, it was just the worst mistake I ever made in my life, because you can't get back the damage that you've caused the people, and you can't get back your life because mentally, regardless if I'm a part of the streets or not, mentally the streets is just in me. It's like no matter what I do, I still think that mentality of being in the streets. It's like it just doesn't go away.
So then, if you have this stuck in your head, right, and you know the damage that you caused, how do you pay it back? You create what? Theater Saves Lives?
I pay it back by speaking at schools, any organization, churches, and letting students and kids know the real of that game or the business, that is not what you think it is. Here it is. I'm a grown man, and it's hard for me to sleep in the bed by myself because in my mind I'm thinking, what if somebody kicked my door and try to kidnap me?
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy to even think like that, but that's the reality of it, and to live like that is just insane.
So, what was the turning point for you?
I got casted on an HBO show, The Wire, and I got to meet a local kid from DC named Trey Cheney, and he introduced me to a lady by the name of Linda Townsend, and she started working with me on acting and everything. So I really took a liking to it, and then I wanted to write because I felt like the show was based off of Baltimore. I'm from Baltimore. The show was based off of the streets, the code, and that was something that I was a part of. So I wanted to be able to write and the guy David Simon who wrote The Wire, he said you've never written anything before, no one would take you serious. So basically, he was like laughing at me, and I took it as though he disrespected me, but he was really being honest. From there, I registered at Morgan State University. I got in. I signed up for the theater department. I ended up doing an internship with Bill Cosby, and the rest was history from there. You know, and then Theater Saves Lives came about because when I was a senior, we had to do a senior project. I wrote this play called Voices. The young lady in the play gets killed in real life. Like after we did the play, 2 weeks later, this 19-year-old kid, she was 16, he slit her throat from ear to ear and blew his own brains out, and that's when I came up with Theater Saves Lives.
Mm. So everything that you do is based on the streets. So do you think that gives you more credibility with
Yes.
the kids? You think they listen to you
Yeah.
better?
Yeah, I can walk in there with a PhD. It means nothing to these kids. But when these kids know, if I walk in there and I said, I wasn't just your little local street level kid making $500. I was making 20-some thousand dollars a day. I'm talking a level that most people can't even fathom. When you have a brother who was charged with 549 kilos of cocaine and 200 pounds, those kids, they know the magnitude of that. So automatically you're going to have their respect and their attention. So from me telling them this, then they're going to be more so, they're going to be more receptive of accepting what I'm saying. And then they're going to be like, wow, this guy was at this level and now he's doing this. So then they say, well, maybe I can change. If he was able to change, so can I.
Do you think that's an oxymoron, or if it's a good or bad thing? The fact that here the kids are looking up to these drug dealers, do you think they should be looking up to drug dealers as far as to change, or if somebody actually came in there with a PhD?
Well, it's kind of like a double sword. I mean, I feel like that we should have the street people in the school system because unfortunately most of those people that are street dealers are some of these kids' fathers. These kids' fathers don't have PhDs, so they can't relate. Any kind of way we can relate for the kids to accept it and grasp it, then that's what we need to do. And I have nothing against people with degrees because I have a degree. But again, if I'm walking in there with a PhD and I don't know what it's like to be hungry, I don't know what it's like to have a mother that's taking the government check to spend on her addiction. I don't know what it's like not to have a father at my basketball game. I don't know what it's like to have a father that's an alcoholic. And all I know is that this is the life that I have, so I'm going to relate to the people that I can relate to.
So all of these trials and tribulations that you went through, according to this, is everything in this book based on your life?
Well, everything that I put in between me and God was basically me, my relate. Because my brother, when he got the book, he said, "Man, you left out so much." I said, "Well, it wasn't about me glorifying the game. It was me giving people insight on my relationship with God. Because as a street guy, we're told they don't have relationships with God. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in going to church, which was different for me. I had a relationship with God, but I kept questioning the why. Why is this happening to me? Why am I charged with murder? Why do I have these parents? Why don't I have food on the table? What do you want from me? You know, and it was just more why.
So now, you started off with a relationship with God. You questioned God. What is it like for you now between you and God?
It's great. I mean, I would never question them again. I mean, I still deal with struggles every day. You know, the sad thing is people. You know, I said to a young lady the other day, I said, I don't know what love is. I never had it. I mean, how can your mother love you if she's doing the things that she's doing? How can your father love you if he's never been to a graduation? My dad's never been to elementary, middle school, high school, college, and he only lived across the street. So for me as a young man, even in relationships, it's hard for me to trust anybody when I'm dealing with women who, oh, I bought her a Mercedes. Oh, yeah, she loved me for that. Oh, I bought her a house. She loves me for that. But then when I walked away from the game, I heard how people really thought about me. Oh, he messed up. He broke now. He this, he that. But they didn't know I was going to school to pursue my degree. They just looked at it like he's not the same person he was. So it was like, now I see how people really view me.
And it's tragic that people equate money to self-worth. It is not that way. And I also like how you say you still have struggles with God. You guys, your relationship with God does not mean that it's going to be smooth sailing. It just means that everything will be okay because all things are possible, right?
Right.
So you talked about you do not know what love is because how could you have a mother that's on heroin? And by the way, I know what that's like. Not my mom, but my brother was just in the hospital. He had some bad stuff the other day.
Hmm.
And so I know what it's like to have, drug addictions in your family. But you also address mental illness. So do you think your mother had some type of mental illness,
Yeah,
or how
yeah.
does that work?
You know, it's crazy because when we look at when people do something to us, we look at how to get back at them versus why are they doing this.
Hmm.
So for me, imagine at 6 years old, which in the book Voices, the first kid is on trial for killing his mother's boyfriend. And this is a kid who witnessed his mother abused, which was like my story. So imagine at 6 years old, I watched this man pour milk on the ground and call my mother the B word and say, lick it up. And she's licking it up, and this man breaks her nose and break her arm. My mother didn't even have self-worth. She was a person who, she was addicted to drugs. So for her, she didn't even love herself. So how could she love us? And she had 4 boys. I don't have any sisters. My mother had 4 boys, all by the same man. And again, each of the men that I watched come into my mother's life was abusive. They was disrespectful. So she didn't even love herself. So I had to accept it that she don't even know how to love.
So how does that translate to you now as an adult male? Besides not knowing what love is, are you a father?
As I'm a father, I have a 3-year-old daughter that I love dearly. And, you know, one of my struggles is the fact that I don't want my daughter to think my dad doesn't love me. You know, I get emotional talking about my daughter.
I mean,
I take her to lunch every
that's
day.
awesome.
I take her to lunch every day. Daddy, love you. Never gonna leave you. And I don't want her to ever have to go through what I went through or my mother went through, because it's like at some point in time we gotta break this cycle. Me working with the kids, there's so many kids that go through these struggles in our in the inner cities, in the communities, because it goes unaddressed. Some of us, when we make it, we don't want to go back and give back, which I think is crazy.
I know, and you've addressed that on our on your YouTube when you
Right.
talked about going back into the communities. And a lot of times people use the excuse of not having parental guidance and parental love as a reason not to love your own children, right? But
Right.
now this is just a testimony to the fact that regardless of how you brought up, you are grown, you can make choices. Life is about a series of choices and decisions that you make. So what you do or what you have today is a reflection of the choices you made yesterday. So you definitely have to make different choices in order to get to a different destination. So it's all up to you.
Yes.
Now, when you go into the theaters and you write these scripts and everything, what are some of the topics that you address in order to get it through to the kids? How does that look?
One of the things that I do with Theater Saves Lives is we circle. We do a group. We do a circle group, and I ask the kids, "What do y'all want to write about?" I don't write any pieces for the kids. Each of the kids have to write their own story, and then we collaborate and put it all together, and then we go from there. And then I'll ask the kid, "What made you write about this topic?" We did a topic on homelessness, where one kid said, you know, he was, and this kid was so gifted. He talked about how, and he was Muslim. He said, "I would have never in a million years pictured my mother and my father and me living in a shelter." So he looks at homeless people totally different
Mm-hmm.
because he experienced it. You know, he figured, "Oh, I go to school," but people's lives can change just from a snap. You can have everything and then everything fall apart.
So the most important thing that you can have is your mind, because regardless, you can always, pull yourself up, but you got to think right,
You gotta think
right?
right. Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys know, I posted something on our Facebook page. What were we talking? Like 2 weeks ago or something, about the homeless situation in Baltimore, but also in the country, and how youth between what, like 15 and 25 are one of the biggest
Biggest.
unseen populations of homelessness
Yes.
that's going on right now. And it all starts with us as the adults, and what we're teaching the children and what we're allowing them to see and do, and how we teach them to respect their elders, so that way they can listen to the wisdom that we have because we've experienced it. Now, in doing so, have any of the kids, like, I don't know how long you've been doing this, but have any of the kids come back to you and say, well, thank you, Tony, or Mr. Tony, or what do they
Kids,
call you?
the kids love me. They call me Mr. Roberts, Tony. The kids love me. Because they know I'm genuine. Most people when they go and they have programs, they got the 501c3s and the nonprofits. My program, I've never charged a dime
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like I've made more than enough money. So I almost feel guilty going into these schools and say, okay, I want you to pay me, which I was told by a certain person, Mr. Les Brown, brother, you need to get paid. Because people, for some reason, when you don't charge, people don't respect what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me to go to all these schools and say, hey, I'm not charging anything, just let me get to your students. Give me the worst of the worst, the kids who need my assistance. And I guarantee you I can change them. Some schools reach out, some schools don't. And I'm not asking for any money, which, again, Mr. Brown said that was a big mistake. You know, things that I do, some people charge $5,000 and $10,000,
Mm-hmm.
15. Mr. Brown told me he got paid $60,000 for like an hour speech, which
Jesus.
is, yes.
So,
So,
but you have made leadway, right? You have
yes,
some
yes,
partnerships. Like,
yes. I
who's
work,
some of your partners?
the ball, which is crazy. Again,
Of
when
all partners.
of all partners, when I was out there in the streets, doing wrong, the police was my enemy. Well, here it is. They was the first to reach out. The Baltimore City Police Bridge Program, where they have 5 or 6 different schools, and they put them all in one school. So you'll have Harlem Park, you'll have Rosemont, you'll have William Penderhughes, Franklin Square Elementary, and they'll bring all these kids into one building. I come in and we collaborate, and we've been partnered now with the police department for 3 years.
See, that's awesome.
Yeah, yes.
Now, do you ever address branding? Because if you guys listen to the YouTube I just told you about, you say a lot of things. Matter of fact, I'm going to let you listen to a piece of that YouTube, but definitely go back onto the YouTube or my page, or I'll post it on the Facebook or something. But definitely go back and listen to it. But here's a little portion of it. Enjoy.
My perception of how black males are portrayed in media is that we're dangerous, we're a threat, and it's always negative. It's almost like when you turn on the news, they love showing black men being arrested. They love showing black men in high-speed chases. They love showing black men beating on women. Everything about the black man is negative when it comes to the media. It's rare that we focus on the positive, and there's a lot of positive things that are going on. I feel the way that we tackle the issues of the way that black males are portrayed in media is that we have to start taking responsibility of our own actions. Like, we have to be more aware and educated of what we're doing. Like, you can't go out here and be seen doing something negative and expect to be seen in a positive. We have to educate one another, because so many times when it comes to black males, when some of us who are educated, we sometimes tend to walk away by not going back and giving back to educate those who just don't know. And what I mean by that is that let's look at the word love. How if you're not getting something at home, then you're not going to know how to act a certain way. If you're not getting discipline at home, you're not going to know how to act. But if I'm someone who's been educated and reformed, then it's my responsibility to go back and help others and educate them.
Welcome back. So as you see, there is a lot that he says in this video. There's even more that he says in the video that I really implore you to go and listen to. But one of the things that he says in the video is about us branding ourselves. We are a brand. We do not treat ourselves like we are a brand. We allow others to brand us. And you want to elaborate on that?
Yes. From the time we're giving our last name, we need to realize the importance of our name. And a lot of times we don't, because we're not being taught that, But when you have these corporations, they'll see you as a brand. When you notice these young guys coming out of high school, and shoe companies want to come at them and say, hey, we'll give you our shoes to wear. And then when they get to the next level, now there's a big contract, and these guys making $10 million, $20 million, because these companies see us as a brand, and they realize how valuable we are, and they realize how valuable we are in the community. But we don't see ourselves that way. And once we start seeing ourselves that way, then we can take ownership of ourselves versus giving someone else ownership of us.
And what do you think that will do for the community as a whole?
It would build self-esteem. It would send a message that we can't be brought, because a lot of times in these communities, these corporations won't even give back
At all.
at all.
They think of it as a dollar bill.
Yeah.
So you gave an example in the video about like a thug shirt.
Right. Yeah. If I wear a T-shirt, like you had the situation where if somebody give you a T-shirt that says "I'm a thug," and they're gonna pay you $5 million, instead of us saying, I don't think this would be a good look, it might tarnish my image. First thing we looking at is $5 million. Oh yeah, how many more shirts you need me to wear? Versus that's gonna tarnish my image. And that's how we have to look at it. We have to stop being broad.
So do you think it goes back to that street hustle mentality of, look, I'm just looking for a come up. I'm just looking for some food on my table. I've been hungry. I don't want to be hungry again.
That's all it is a come up. Everything is money, and unfortunately, that's what we're being taught. You see it with so many young ladies. Somebody saying, "Hey, I'll offer you this amount of money to do this," and they like, "Oh, this is what I got to do." We're gonna take the money. We're not worrying about consequences. Who we hurting? All we worrying about is how can I get money? How can I get this car? How can I get this jewelry, this house?
You said currently we're branded,
Right.
and like you said, the thug T-shirt. What are some of the other images of brands that you think was placed on us?
Oh, you had the situation with who was it? Where the kid had the monkey T-shirt on. I can't think.
It was everywhere, guys. In media, social media.
Yeah, and it's just so much. I mean, you have where people try to say as black men we're angry. We have a mentality of, you see in society now, a lot of blacks are being killed by officers because as black men we're branded as thugs, criminals. People see us as that. You won't see a black man as, well, this is a doctor. Yeah, this man is driving through Baltimore City in the hood, but he's also a professor. We just looking at like, why are you driving this Mercedes through this inner city? Not thinking like, well, maybe he's coming through because he's looking at buying property or something, to uplift the community. But we don't look at it that way. So
it's funny that you give an example of this man's a doctor. One of the most positive images that we've had as a community on television, nonetheless, was Cosby. Right? Cosby was a doctor.
Right.
Right? Yes. And so this was a prominent black family that was displayed weekly on television. And do you think it's a coincidence the way that they ripped that imagery out of our head? Or you think, it is what it is? Unfortunately, and we definitely need more examples, and then we wouldn't have to dwell on one or two.
Right. I think it was purposely done. I actually did my internship at Morgan State University with Bill Cosby. Mm-hmm. So I had an opportunity not only to meet him, but to work with him and for him. And, I'm not going to credit what these people said because I wasn't there. But at the end of the day, we looking at what this man has done so much for the community and the legacy, and he was ripped and he has money. So if they can do this to him, and he has money, I mean, they can do anything they want to us.
Well, it's the same argument that Shannon said on, was it First Take? Or we're always watching sports in my house.
I love First Take.
Unfortunately, it's a lot of cowgirls. But how he said that, the same person, I'm always saying that we have to be a little bit better in order to get the same positions. But the same person that's a lawyer or doctor that is Caucasian can get away with stuff and their livelihood is not taken from them. But yet you get a pro sports player or something whose livelihood is taken away from them when they do something wrong. Me Too movement have changed things a little bit that I was just made aware of the other day during a meeting. But do you think there's different standards really quick?
I'll give you one right here that nobody probably ever thought about. My name is Tony Roberts. I apply for a scholarship. I don't get it. I get financial aid to go to school. I'm granted $20,000 a year. I can apply for a loan to start a business. I'm still Tony Roberts. So why I can't get the loan for the business? But you'll give me loan to put me in debt.
I don't even talk about business loans.
So I'm trying to figure out, I'm still the same person. You gave me $20,000 to go to school, but I can't get that same $20,000 to say, hey, start a business. I'm the same person, same social security number, So I'm still trying to figure out how does that work.
So you guys, unfortunately, we have to go. And there's so much more that we could talk about. There's so much more to this man. I'm sure you can just tell from the little bit of time that we've had today. But unfortunately, we always got to come to an end. Definitely pick up his books. Where can I find you?
Amazon. All my books are on Amazon. TheaterSavesLives.org. I have Facebook, Instagram, Tony Roberts, thank you.
Everywhere. So definitely look him up, check him out. I tag him in everything. As always, you can find us on IG, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, under Get It Got It Good G3. As always, remember, be an original because an original is always worth more than a copy. Love you guys. See you next Wednesday. You did it.
Good show.